Alrighty, I am here with Miss Millie, and this is the first time I have her in the car. I put the ramp down and had her come up the ramp. She was a little nervous and worried about it, like she is so many things. And she struggled very little, very minimum. But I got her to go up and down the ramp. I need her to slow down a little bit, but she was doing it, and that's okay. She's doing well. When she came in, she's definitely scared of life itself. Everything was unreal. And the more I'm getting her out and about on walks and working her out front and pushing her past her threshold, the better she's getting, although she still is hanging on to a lot of that nonsense. So I have her here in the car right now, obviously, right? And I really need her, or want her, to lay down. So I'm going to start giving her stimulation, and I'm going to see what she does. So there's the first tap of the button. I am on a 5 out of 100. And you can see that she obviously felt that stimulation by the way she turned and moved her head as soon as I pushed the button. Is she going to figure out what she needs to do? And she does, so that's really good. And that's a 5 out of 100. I personally cannot feel that level. So she obviously can. So we're going to walk around. We're going to drive around and see what she does. Most dogs, they lay down like this, but as soon as I put the car in gear or move or anything like that, go to back up, the dog jumps up. So we'll see what she does here. Oh, and there she goes. That is very common, very typical. So I'm going to go right back onto the button. This is a continuous hold. She lays down and the button is off. So we'll take a little drive around, see how she is. She does really good. Maybe we'll take her up to the pet store. Otherwise, a lot of times my first ride around with the dog is just that. It's just riding around, getting the dog used to being in the car. So now that we're moving, obviously it's going to be a little bit more difficult for her because of what's going on to understand what's going on. So I'm going to have to start dialing up on the e-collar to give her a little bit more information of to lay down, because her brain and everything is running really rapid right now because of the stimulations of moving and the different things that she can look at. So I have to go up a little bit so I can talk to her a little bit louder, like as most people do, yelling and screaming at their dog. But with the e-collar, I can just dial up and get her to do what I needed to do. So I got all the way up to 7. And she laid back down, which is really good. I'm happy with her. And we'll just putt around here through the neighborhood and see how it goes. Overall, Millie is actually a really nice dog. She's just real insecure and unsure about life. She hasn't had enough of getting out and about and seeing what is out there in the world. A lot of people just think, oh, I got to socialize my dog. I got to let my dog play. It's got to meet everybody, meet all the other dogs that we see here and there, neighbors and friends. That's going to create you a lot of nonsense, and we see that over and over. So she's back up. I'm going to go right back onto the stimulation. And again, this is a continuous hold. I'm still at 7 out of 100. So she's actually doing pretty good. Some dogs would definitely get up into the 20s and 30s. But that's their state of mind is so wound up and so crazy. And then you gotta hunt and find where that level is going to be. Where does it work? Where does the dog decide that, okay, this is what I need to do. I'm going to do it to get rid of this uncomfortable feeling. So she's back up. Trying to pay attention to how I'm driving here. And button's on, and she is back down. So I didn't adjust it again. I'm still at 7, and she's doing really well. But earlier I was saying about socialization and things. People just think every dog, every time they get a puppy, you know, and I get it, they're so happy and proud and they want to show their dog off. But a lot of times it's the wrong thing to be doing, you know, is to just let everybody and everything, you know, your dog sees and gets to see everybody, run up to every dog. It makes the humans feel good most of the time until something goes wrong, dog fight or human fight or whatever happens. But it's a lot of times from what we see, that's exactly what people have done with their dogs. They've allowed them to go see anything and everything they want to see, sniff, or whatever. And they think that's the right thing to do. Sometimes it is, but most of the time it is not. And then those things create issues later on down the road. That's how you can possibly get a lot of dog reactivity, dog aggression, right? You get a lot of nonsense from that. Hyper. They get really aroused, hyper, crazy. They start acting out because now, you know, something may have went wrong, and now the human doesn't want the dog doing it, or doesn't want the dog going up to maybe a bigger dog, something that makes them a little more nervous about letting their dog up to. So now they're holding it back, and the dog is going, hey, you know, come on, I get to do this all the time, what's going on here? So the dog's going to throw a little bit of a fit. And then the human's going to try to squash that. And the dog's going to throw a little bit bigger fit. And the human's going to try to squash that. And they're just going to keep chasing each other. The good thing in a situation like that is just to cap it. Just correct the dog for the nonsense in a meaningful way to the dog, that the dog says, okay, it kind of sucks for me to act this way and do this. So I guess I won't. Rather than, you know, just allowing the dog to carry on and be nuts. And that's usually what happens. And then you start getting all the excuses from the human. Well, my dog's this, my dog's that, blah, blah, blah. We got to stop making excuses for our dogs. So in my world, after we get dogs in that are totally aroused, crazy, because people played all those unicorn and rainbow feel-good games, we get those dogs in and we stop that nonsense, teach the dog right. And for socializing, we get the dogs out and about. They exist. They see and learn about life. We don't need interaction. And I personally do not want people coming up and fondling my dogs. I don't have my dogs out there for their pleasure and their benefit. They can see my dog, they can admire it, and then move on. I got a nice car maybe sitting out here. Well, hey, I got some people, hey, that's a really nice car. Should I let them drive it? Should I let them get in it, sit in it? No, that's not going to happen. Especially with a bunch of strangers. It's just not going to happen. But people do that with their dog for some reason. Well, I know the reason. It's the crazy, you know, the pure positive stuff, this force-free nonsense, this scientific training, all this crap. And the so-called scientific training, these dogs are animals, they're nature. Science is about their health and stuff, not about their behavioral. You know, I talked to someone the other day, and they have a dog that, it's, I don't know, I think it's getting up about 1.5 years, maybe close to 2 years old. And it's been causing them a lot of issues with craziness, resource guarding, and just being wild. But they did the steps, the dog parks, the socialization, the pup dates, all that nonsense. That's what they did. And now they have a dog that they are having some issues with, and these issues are getting more and more serious. So we're talking about it, and it's like, well, yeah, you got to stop that. Got to correct the dog and get it right. I'm going me see if I can get her back down here. She's up. So I can tell in Millie here that she's getting a little more and more nervous. She's hit that threshold, and now she's getting a little more excited and wants to look around at what's out there. But I want her to lay down. She can see out. She doesn't. There's none of anything out there is really any of her business or concern. She should just lay down, relax, and ride along until we get to where she's going, and then life will be life. But in the meantime, be good, calm, relax in the car. Don't be playing games. But anyway, back to the other dog that's having all those issues. And it's because they played the games, and now they got that nonsense going. But what they ended up doing, and we see this so often. I have another dog coming in the same kind of position here, coming in for an eval. And drugs. They put them on different drugs that the vet gives them to say, oh, this is going to make your dog better. Well, so far, after almost a year of on medication, this dog is actually, kind of gotten worse. Looks like it's stoned all the time. It's in a complete stupor. And if that's how you want your dog, really, in my opinion, shame on you. There's other ways of doing it, and that's by teaching your dog accountability and yes and no. It can't be all yes, 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 fun, fun, fun. Try it with your kid. We'll see how that goes. And we see some parents that do that with their kids, and we see the results. So we see the people that do it with their dogs. We see the results. So if you feel you got to put your dog on medication for behavioral problems, there is definitely something else wrong. You're just trying to take the easy way out, trying to find the easy, simplest method that suits you, rather than doing the work, helping your dog, and doing what you promised your dog and what you considered doing for your dog the day you got it, before you got it. Oh, I want a dog. I'm going to do this. I'm going to have my dog do this. And people get the dog, and then all that goes away because now they realize, holy crap, it isn't like the internet says. It isn't like these pure positive people say, these scientific training, these force-free trainers say. It's reality, and I got to deal with it now. And unfortunately, most of those dogs end up in shelters, rescues, or just being dumped. And we do see a lot of that. We deal with the rescue, and boy, they see some stuff and bring in some dogs that it is just unimaginable. It is crazy what people have done to their dogs. And I believe it's because we're caught up in all this unicorn and rainbow crap mentality. We forget life is life and reality is reality. And so we start to use our emotions, our feelings, to try to get our dog to be good. We try to love them into good behavior, and that is just not going to happen. There has to be yes and no. There's just really no way around it. So when you get a dog, puppy, you got a long time with a puppy. I mean, a long time. We ain't talking a few weeks or a few months. You bring in an older dog, you got to give it a minimum of 90 days to help that dog understand the rules and structure of living in your world with you. You're bringing them into a foreign country. You got to take the time to do that, and most people don't. They just bring them in, dump them middle of their country, where the dog doesn't know the customs, doesn't speak the language or anything like that, and they expect the dog to know and figure things out. And then all they want to do is yell at the dog what to do and what not to do. And then when the dog's starting to do more of the things that they don't want to do, because that shiny moment, that fun, that great energy that started out in the beginning is now fading because of the bad behaviors. And then people start, of course, blaming the dog. Oh, this is a bad dog. This dog doesn't know. Well, what it actually comes down to is the human, the owner, didn't take the time or take the responsibility they promised the dog when they got it to do what they needed to do to help that dog become better and be a better dog. So when I see a lot of this nonsense with dogs going on, most of it is all human caused. I see very little things that are naturally bad with a dog. Every now and then, maybe out of the hundreds and hundreds of dogs we have worked with, maybe one or two that are just like, yeah, these dogs are just not going to be good. We can get them better, but will they actually be good and the way the owners want them to? More than likely not, because even then, even after training, owners just feel they should still just be able to tell their dog this, do that. But it's not that way, unfortunately. It just doesn't work that way. And I get a lot of people say, oh, that's not true, this and that and that and this. And it's like, I know too many other trainers and too many training groups. I listen to all the trainers. I read what they write, read what they say, and it's all the same. Humans not doing what they need to do for their dog. And I will say it is a lot in the beginning, just like having a child. You get a lot of work in the beginning in this child, and as time goes on and they learn, they become more independent and less work for you. They start taking care of themselves. And that's the same thing for the dog. Bring the dog in, take the time to teach it, take the time to train it, teach it your rules, your structure, what you want, what you don't want, what it can do, what it can't do. And then you will have a great life with your dog, and your dog will be extremely happy and unconfused, wondering what they're supposed to do, how they're supposed to do it, when they can do it, rather than just being yelled at and screamed at over and over for things that they really don't understand or have any idea about. So as I've been driving around yakking here, Millie, she's been getting up, but I just been giving her stimulation to get her to lay back down. And hopefully y'all notice that I'm not yelling at this dog to lay down or anything like that. I want the dog to figure it out. I want the dog to use its brain to think so that it can learn to relax. Because otherwise the dog's just going through in a crazy state of mind. They don't know how to think. They don't know how to relax. And everything is and becomes an issue for them. So do what you promised you would do to yourself, to your dog, when you got your dog. Stick with it. It's not easy. It takes time and it's work. I will tell you that straight up. I will not be like a lot of other trainers that I hear. Oh, you could just do this, you just do that, and it's fun, it's great. Well, all I can say is good luck with that. And unfortunately, the dog will pay the price for your lack of doing what you need to do.